in front of you. Excellent.
We are live.
Hello, we are live on another exciting adventure called Move Mondays. Welcome, intrepid Aptosians. Today with us, we have myself. I'm the one that's currently speaking. My name is Max, and I'm an engineer on the ecosystem team.
Hi everyone, I'm Sherry. I'm an engineer also.
Hi, Kent. I'm also an engineer.
I'm Eric. I'm an engineer and you hire.
I'm David. I pretend to be an engineer.
I'm
Very
Greg. Exactly. I'm Greg and I am definitely an engineer.
Fantastic. Well, these definitely engineers are across a bunch of different domains, such as production engineering, wallet, platform,
What about me?
management, and web. So yeah, thank you for joining us on this fantastic Monday. I see we have 75 people with us. It's amazing what happens when you start on time. Normally we have to vamp for a while, but I guess I don't. But I will anyway. Before diving into our scheduled production, I do want to call out that we are hiring. aptoslabs.com/careers. We are hiring across a broad range of roles. You might be working with Sherry or Greg or David, or even on the wallet. Who knows? But please tell your grandmother, tell your friends, yourself even can apply. Maybe next week you could be sitting here with us. Whew. Also, we would like to open our table up to have people come on here, right? This isn't just about us, it's about the community. And so if you are working on a project using Move or building on the Aptos blockchain, we would love to have you on here. We have someone from Ekanya today who has been super fantastic with providing very, very detailed questions actually about use cases they're running into, which has been super helpful. And I know that other people in the community, it's been really helpful to as well. We have Schwan today from Blockto, but next week you could either be working here or presenting with us. So please send us a message at info@aptoslabs.com or reach out to one of us on Discord if you'd like to come on, join our panel and talk about your experience building on Move. As always, if you have any questions, please put them into our Twitch chat or into the general or dev discussion on Discord, preferably dev discussion, so we have only one place to look. Now, without further ado, we have some Devnet updates.
Wow, for sure. I think last week was really exciting and fun. There was way too many stuff like went into the Devnet release, and we even had some hiccups during this release. But well, tons of exciting changes. First is package upgrade is now feature complete. Now you can use the Aptos CLI, Move Publish, Move List, Move Download, and Move Clean, all kinds of like features and commands and functions to do a package upgrades or support all the package management. So check it out and try it out, give us feedbacks and how it works out for you. Also right now we support BLS, a Move. TypeScript SDK also now supports API-based queries by dynamically querying the blockchain and transforming TypeScripts into native Aptos types. If you wanted to look into the details, check out the links I posted in the Devnet release notes. Also now we allow for optional direct transfer of NFT tokens. And we also have MVP support for authenticating key rotation management. So yeah, check out that part for the tooling and then even try it out yourself. We also added the ability for creators of given coins to phrase transfer to from a given account. The initial layout for Genesis right now support both delegating and signer capabilities for the account association. And then there's now a cleaner packages for Aptos Genesis blob and framework, on-chain upgradability for the framework as well. We now also have lots of new examples of how Aptos governance proposal would look like. So you can check it out in the future. If you wanted to propose a governance proposal, that's what the example looks like. And then that's how the changes looks like. We will put up more documentations in the future, and we will test it out during AIT3 as well for the governance operation. Lots of new updates on the Aptos CLI as well. More documentation on the commands. There's also move type on the list resource for the CLI command, governance operation, move packagings, and lots of new abilities, managing your Aptos configs and profile stuff. So try it out to use the CLIs and let us know how you like it, and file an issue for us if you have any questions or problem with it. There was some resolved issue from the last weeks of Devnet release. We mitigated a known issue in the move bytecode verifier and evaluating the loops. We fixed around the network message size to prevent excessive framework size. So right now, our entire stack does have a size limit for the messages. And there are some breaking changes. Probably many people already realize the REST API for one definitely is a major changes. Everyone now should use the V1 REST API. The V0 is deprecated.
Deleted.
Deleted, yes. We removed the legacy user transaction write set. Some of you might not even familiar with this concept, but that's okay.
It doesn't matter anymore, it's gone.
It doesn't matter anymore. And then script function became entry function. Move calls them public entry fun instead of the public script fun. So this is important to align everything.
This is how we broke every wallet out in the marketplaces.
And then obviously many of you realized after the first Devnet release that your public full nodes cannot be connecting to the Devnet anymore. We very quickly realized that and then resolved the issue, redeployed the Devnet. There was some bugs in the network identity to prevent any of the public full node to connect. Now it's also resolved. Everybody should be able to run a public full node and very smoothly connect to Devnet. If you're still experiencing any issues, welcome to post in the dev discussion channel or node support. Let us know if you run into any issues. But yeah, too many stuff. Please go back to the Devnet release notes if you missed anything or wanted to dive deeper into any of the items we mentioned during this time.
Yes, please ask any questions when we get to the Q&A section. Also, just want to call out, as we said in earlier communications, we are narrowing down the number of breaking changes that you'll see over the next coming days, for hopefully not weeks. And so please bear with us through this time as we do get ready for finalizing our code base. It's a very exciting time to be in the Aptos ecosystem.
Woo! I'm excited. Thank you, David. Thank you, Sherry. Speaking of exciting times in the Aptos ecosystem, I've heard that AIT registration is live. Woo! Woo! Sherry, would you like to discuss any deltas or recap any early feedback we may have received?
Absolutely. So thank you all for all the passions and support. We saw so many new registrations and new nodes set up over the weekend. So I really appreciate and excited about everybody's passion of working even through the weekend to register your node. AIT3, obviously, like we talked about in a couple of the Move Mondays, we introduced two new concepts, which is the staking and governance. Staking is actually it already exists during AIT2, but there wasn't that much of operation tested out during AIT2. However, they will be in AIT3. People this time, when you are registering, we ask you to start using our Petra wallet to create a wallet account instead of directly using CLI. So this time we introduced 3 different personas instead of only one entity to run a validator node. You will be experiencing the whole process of being an owner, an operator, and a voter for later to vote for the governance operation. Maybe some of you already experienced some confusions, like what does those mean and who am I, what kinds of keys am I using, what kinds of tool. So please go to our concepts doc and read more about staking and then understand what kinds of capability you have as owner operator versus voter, so that you can get more understanding on why we create 3 different personas and why they have different capabilities. Similar for governance operation, we put up a documentation to discuss more about how our governance model works in the details. And then also this time during registration, you will be using the UIs to initiating your staking, validator staking pool later once you're selected. So there's a lot more easier user support on the UI side instead of like only dealing with CLI. And then obviously, if you're experiencing any issue with the wallet, always let us know. This is very exciting. We wanted to put all those process closer to mainnet as possible. So we are testing all variety of different toolings might be used during mainnet at the AIT3 to get the early feedback. So yeah, very exciting.
Amazing. Thank you for that thorough explanation. Now, for Sherry and David, I have a question about the roadmap between where we are now coming into IT3 and where we want to be for our mainnet launch coming very, very soon. What can the community expect?
Do you want me to go or do you want to go?
That's a really, really good question. I think as we are really approaching mainnet timeline super, super fast, we wanted to take AIT3 as a very important opportunity for us to testing waters. That's why you see previously we talked about AIT3 with a very different setup, and this time we actually did a lot of adjustment to put AIT3 closer to a mainnet configuration. We decreased the number of validators we wanted to run. We tuned all kind of parameters we wanted to use for AIT3. We aggressively reviewed our code base to make sure the configurations we're putting there is set up for the mainnet preparation. So AIT3 will be a venue for us to first is final testing for our software so that we get feedbacks to fix all the stuff before we can launch. And then second is to help us select those nodes and validator nodes and operators we can launch mainnet with. So this is a testing ground for us to see everybody's abilities and then measure the quality of the validator nodes, measure the performance and all the toolings we will be using for mainnet launch. And then after AIT3, we will go into a very short period of like a longevity testnet, a period of time that we will invite a lot of the people who successfully graduated from AIT3 to participating in a longevity testnet as a final testing steps before us getting into mainnet. So that period of time, you can imagine a lot of bug fixings, improvements, all taking all the feedbacks or learnings we have during AIT3s to massively really hardening our repos and then lock it down and then make sure we patches all the vulnerabilities we find out. So there's going to be lots of bug bounty programs, a lot of the stress testings and better engineering work instead of the feature implementation. So you're expecting to see our repo starting to slow down on the feature implementation this week. Later this week, we will starting to phrase our feature implementations and very aggressively only focusing on fixing and improving the quality. So yeah, once those done and then we have a high confidence, mainnet will be next and hopefully very, very soon.
Amazing. Everything is coming so soon. Thank you, David and Sherry, for giving us another exciting update.
At least I could do.
Fantastic. And now we have our special guest, Haun from Blockto.
Hi.
Haun.
Hi. Yeah, I'm Haun Li from Blockto, and I'm calling from Taiwan. And happy to see a couple of familiar faces here, and like that I've met in person in Palo Alto, and also a couple of familiar faces on Move Monday.
Thank you, Haun. Blockto is something I think that's been dear to our hearts for a while. Even before we started Aptos, even coming from Meta. So I think it'd be great to hear a little bit from yourself about both the wallet as well as what else you might be working on in terms of Aptos.
Yeah, sure. So Blockto, so one of the biggest focus for us is to bring normal users without technical background into Web3 world. And for those who have used like NBA Top Shot or anything on Flow, you might have used our wallet. Yeah, we are that Blockto. And so our focus is to make it as easy as possible for normal users to get on board. And we got in contact with Aptos since March, and we have been always been fascinated in the idea about the kind of ecosystem that you're building, and you're doing really great. And not just the tech perspective, but also the non-tech perspective. Yeah, so the ecosystem is very there's a lot of momentum here. The mainnet hasn't even launched, and there has already been a lot of developers here, and that is really exciting for us. And and also we would like to make it build our infrastructure here so that developers here can games, social applications can utilize our solution and make it easy to attract their users as well. And we consider ourselves some sort of aggregator of experiences. So we kind of piece together the different components in the blockchain ecosystem and make it simple for normal users. For example, if a user wants to get their hands on an NFT, they might have to go through a couple of different steps. They might have to go through an exchange and purchase some crypto first. It could be stablecoin, it could be USDC on Aptos. I believe that is coming soon as well. So it could be that, and then they have to swap it for some other token that is issued by some other NFT project, and then they have to store that NFT somewhere in their wallet. And before that, they have to have a wallet first. So all these different steps can be very intimidating for the users, and we kind of just combine the different components. So we work with DEXs in the ecosystem, we work with NFT marketplaces in the ecosystem, and fiat on-ramps. So it could be as easy as just pay with a credit card and type in your email, and then you have your NFT stored with your email, that kind of experience. And yeah, so we would love to bring this to Aptos as well. So we are eager to work with all the different projects in the ecosystem, and also for the projects that want to target these kind of audience, our solutions is here as well. Yeah, and alongside with our wallet service that we're building, I think we are one of the projects that has been extensively using the multi-sig wallet on Aptos. So we have a mixed custodial model. So when users start their journey with Blockto on Aptos, they will start with a custodial wallet. And so at this stage, we will manage the private keys for them. But later, when they learn more about blockchain, they can create their own keys locally, and we can rotate the old keys that we manage for them out, and then rotate in their keys. So this is utilizing the key rotation mechanism on Aptos. And our service is mostly built with Golang. So we are also building a Go SDK on Aptos. So if you're a Go developer, feel free to check out our Go SDK repository. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. I know that there are a lot of people who have been asking about a Go SDK, so it's super exciting that we have such a strong team actually building one. Absolutely amazing. I don't know if you have any questions, or
Yeah, I guess the first thing just popping out there would be, it'd be great to grab some links from you so that we can actually share that out with the community. In particular, I know I've been poked by a lot of people around the Golang SDK, so that'd be great to start formalizing in that space. And also just an opportunity for our teams to collaborate and potentially even bring in the Golang SDK into Aptos core code base, just to make it easier for everybody to find it out. I guess The other question would be, is your wallet live yet? Is the Aptos wallet experience available through Blockto, or when do you imagine that's going to be available?
Yeah, so we are actively working on it right now. And since our wallet, so we have an entire key management service that is built around the blockchain wallet. So it takes us slightly more time to do it, but we expect to launch it with the mainnet of Aptos. So yeah, it should be ready in pretty soon.
Awesome.
And
Yeah.
and also along with the we will launch a couple of different things. So mobile wallet, that is one of them, and we will launch a staking service along with this mobile wallet. So users without technical background can easily store their token with us and use the staking service. It could we're still finalizing the staking service right now, so it could be either built by us directly, or we will work with other staking pool providers in the ecosystem to provide this functionality. But anyway, for the user, it should be really simple for that. For them. And we are also building our web SDK, so the wallet service can be integrated directly into your web app without the user having to download anything like Chrome extension or wallet. Yeah, so it kind of serves as I know there are a lot of different wallet providers in the ecosystem, and we kind of serve different purposes. So extension wallet is perfect for more crypto native users, but we kind of we want to provide a solution that is easier for people that without blockchain knowledge. So if you're building something in this direction, our web SDK is there. And and we are working on our mobile iOS Android SDK as well as our Unity SDK as well. So there are a couple of different developments in our team on Aptos right now.
That's hella exciting. So now that you've said all the positive things, I always like to get constructive feedback about our own development process, builds, documentation, what have you now. So I'm just kind of curious, where can we do better?
Yeah, sure. I think it is still a pretty young ecosystem, not just Aptos, but Move, altogether. So there, it isn't that easy to get information on the newer features. Some of the features are they have just come out. I had difficulty finding more documentation for multi-agent transactions or resource accounts, and I these are just new features, and they have been added in just recently. So yeah, so I think it's kind of expected in the newer ecosystem, but it could be better. It could if we have access to those documentations, it could be much better for us.
No, that's exciting. I mean, that's exactly what the goal of post code freeze is so that we can start really nailing down better documentation and really help the community to explore all the new things that we're all kind of stumbling into ourselves. Yeah, and I really appreciate the work you're doing here, not just the technical work, but also the non-tech work. And I also come from a technical background, but I haven't been coding for some time. But I think for ecosystem to actually succeed, to grow, doing the technical work is not enough. You also have to do BD, you also have to do marketing, and I think Aptos is spot on this. It has attracted a lot of attention here, and yeah, we can definitely make use of these momentum. Awesome. Well, I'm really glad we're gonna have Blockto with us there at day one launch.
Yeah, I think it's not just us. If you look at Twitch, there are a lot of people.
Got this from Korea. Met a couple of members from the team in Korea 2 weeks ago.
That's awesome.
Amazing. There are a lot of people that are very excited to hear about Blockto on Aptos. I mean, just looking at our Twitch, it's all about how excited they are, both to see you and to hear from yourself, but also they really love your products that they've used across other chains, and people are super excited to see Aptos come to that amazing ecosystem that you've already built.
Thanks. Yeah. So for more information of Blockto, like you can follow our Twitter. It's Blockto app, BOCTO app. Yeah, and you can find the entrance to like our tech docs and our other like upcoming stuff there.
Cool. I will drop a link to that into our Twitch.
Thanks.
Sweet. Any other questions?
No, thank you so much for joining us, Haun. I know it's pretty late there. Thanks for staying up with us.
No problem. No problem. Happy to be here. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Amazing. And this is also a great time to also say that we are looking for presenters for future Move Mondays. Haun is amazing, and you next week could be up here too. We would absolutely love to hear from you. If you're a builder in our ecosystem, if you're part of our community, come and say hello.
Please in Discord, and we'll be happy to figure a way to bring you on board.
And now we can move on to some questions from our community. So the first one is from yourself, potentially. Yeah. Would you like to ask it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so if a move subroutine borrows a resource from global storage, then the calling function of the subroutine also borrows the same resource. Does the move compiler optimize out the second redundant lookup from the global storage hash table? What about for two borrow calls within the same function?
By any perchance, Wolfgang, are you familiar with exactly how compiler?
The compiler doesn't do anything here, but the VM does something here. It's not that transparent, so how to describe that. So there is some caching happening. So if you access a resource for the first time, then after you access it the second time in the same transaction, that's definitely not longer a storage access needed until the end of the transaction. So the resource is basically cached. And now the borrow global, the second borrow global is then very cheap because it's really just creating, by the way, in any case, the borrow is not that expensive because think about the borrow just creating a pointer. No? And the question is what you do with that pointer. Whether you write to that pointer or read from that pointer. Anyway, if you read from that pointer and then you read a second time, then it should be already cached and not lead to another database access.
Thanks.
Cool. You have a follow-up question about gas efficiency?
Is it more gas efficient to store fixed width data structures in a vector of elements or in a table from index to element?
Definitely table is way more expensive. So consider the table is really every single element of the table is a storage entity, whereas the vector of elements is stored as one entity. So tables, you should never really use tables for, if you have like just like 100 elements or so, that's what tables are not made for. Tables are made for really large scale storage where you have hundred thousands or 100 million of elements. And if you're not looking at this, you should use small table. Then you compare vector with small table. That's really just the same from the gas price. The vector versus small table, only the excess of the small table is probably a little bit cheaper. Because if you look in a small table, it's sorted and you faster find an element in the small table, like when you search a vector yourself. But from the storage costs, they're both the same, and tables, to say again, are way more expensive than vectors.
Thank you.
There's a bucket table that might be useful if you're looking for a blend between the two, but it's still in an early development phase.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Here's a fun question. Why is the Aptos wallet called Petra and not Isabel or Mary?
I don't know. I can't talk specifically about Isabel or Mary, but for Aptos wallet, originally the the wallet was called like Aptos wallet or Aptos Lab wallet, but I think in the sense of the community, and there's a lot of already great wallets out there, and wallets being built by community, by Blocto, by Martian, Future, etc. Sorry if I missed you. And so we wanted to have a separate brand where we weren't pushing this as the only wallet you can use on Aptos, and so we wanted a separate brand. So that was the reason for a separate brand. Why it was called Petra specifically, not Isabel or Mary. It was hard to come up with a name, but the idea is that Petra means stone or rock in Latin, and we kind of want your wallet to be your strong foundation going into Aptos. And so that's the very, very small idea there. It's also a World Heritage Site or a World Wonder, Petra, standing the test of time. So there's my engineering pitch for you. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, if you haven't been, I highly recommend it. Petra's a cool place. And Petra rocks. I'm going to keep saying that until it becomes the official tagline. Thank you, Ken, for a fantastic answer. One of the questions is, do we have programming tutorials? We do. If you go to aptos.dev, there are a wide variety of resources, both explaining the underpinnings of the blockchain, node setup, if you have any questions about the AIT3 node requirements or what we're looking for someone running a validator. Aptos.dev is a great place to go. Also, tutorials, things that teach you how to interact with the NFT contract and create your first NFT, create a collection. Tutorials that teach you how to build your first move module and how to deploy it to the blockchain, how to use the SDKs. So we do have a couple of tutorials. We are always interested in better tutorials, and we know that we have a bunch to do in terms of really accelerating and making it easier to onboard into Aptos, but there is a bunch of content there, and I highly recommend you check it out. And we will be putting a link to that into our Twitch as well.
Just a quick call out there that we are actively going through and doing massive updates across all tutorials. You may have already started seeing some new ones popping up about your first transaction using the SDK or your first NFT using the SDK. We're going to move more and more and away from the direction that we used to be, which was haphazardous, rough-edged SDKs that we built up just for our DevNet launch, and move towards SDKs that we meant for our mainnet launch. And so just be on the lookout for that. That also means things like using the SDKs to publish modules will no longer be a thing. We're going to be focusing on using the CLI for the meantime. We will eventually bring back the functionality back to the SDKs, but that's not a priority. And I think that kind of covers my little ramble there. And there are a few more questions I actually wanted to throw out there that just came in. And this is both to probably, well, to many people in this room. What is the role of Petra Wallet in AIT3? Will it be used for staking, governance, or both?
It will be everything, everything.
Yeah.
So I think like in AIT3, the only persona that won't be using the wallet is the operator, because like there's just too many caveats about managing your node and dealing with the Docker images or Terraform. So only the operator will not be managed by the Petra wallet. However, your owner account or voter account, I would definitely, in the documentation, we recommend you to go through the Petra wallet. And that's how you're going to use our UI as well. Without the Petra wallet, you will not be able to use our staking UIs or governance UIs to vote for things very easy. Obviously, similar features will be supported on the CLI as well. So if people wanted to explore different like functionalities or richer support and stuff, we will still be able to support you on the CLI side. And then everything will be in our documentation. So yeah, Petra wallet for everything, except operator.
Amazing. Cool. So here's a question I think that a lot of people could potentially answer is, why was Move chosen, and kind of what is the advantage and purpose of Move existing? I don't know if you want to take that, Wolfgang.
Well, so what do you want me to say? Move is just a great language, and it's safer than other languages. It's more modern than other languages. It's similar like Rust, and Rust, as you know, is a very successful language, but it's much simpler than Rust because Rust is a system programming language. and move is a smart contract language. So Rust is too complicated for smart contracts. So it has a lot of the advantages of Rust tests, but not the complexity. It is fully typed, fully strongly typed. The bytecode is fully understandable. So we do this compatibility checking for code upgrade, which you can't do with Solidity because the code is basically very low level. Not so the case for Move. Yeah, so there's a lot of things around it. Indeed, it's not an easy decision to create a new language, and a startup would normally not do this. But it was created at Meta a couple of years ago, and so we are inheriting this decision to create a new language from Meta here, and we are pretty happy with it because we think it's really a better language than
Awesome. Thank you, Wolfgang. For those that don't know, Wolfgang is one of the creators and has been working on Move, literally on Move, for quite a few number of years now. So super excited to have him be able to answer all of your Move questions. So one of the questions about being able to see rewards for AT1 and AT2. There are plans to publish it. You'll be able to see the rewards that you earned, but if you take a look at the leaderboards that we've published for IAT1 and AT2, those are fixed and finalized. We've made announcements about the reward structure and what criteria you need to meet in order to be able to get those rewards. So even though it doesn't show on that leaderboard exactly who is getting, we have published in two separate places. All that you need to do is put them together and know who has earned what. But if you have been a participant and you have earned, coming soon to the community platform actually is user profiles and also projects. So you'll be able to see and create like a little about me, etc. And along with that, as a fast follow, is a section to see rewards. So we're planning on hopefully being able to give away NFTs in the future for if we have Aptos University, being able to give away little free, meaningless, please don't try to speculate on this value, anyone can earn them anytime, NFTs for like completed a class or a tutorial or things like that, potentially.
Rest assured, we have all of the rewards nicely stored, so we will not lose track of anybody. As soon as the frameworks are available, as soon as we align on when we're going to be giving out the rewards, they'll all be present to you. You'll be very happy, and we really do appreciate everybody's involvement across the incentivized testnets, as well as the future upcoming opportunities that we have for folks to get rewards and to contribute into the Aptos ecosystem.
Yeah. It'll be a nice view, you'll see. We have some bugs already, but it's coming. Thank you, David. Which wallets are stable on Aptos?
None of them right now because I broke them all.
Fantastic.
Actually, I think I'll let Ken take that one.
Oh yeah, I think things are continuing to change in the ecosystem. Hopefully, they're going to change less now that we've hit kind of code freeze time. So hopefully they become more stable, but everything's going to be changing up until mainnet probably. So don't get too comfortable.
And there is a shared wallet SDK, right?
Yes, there is. So Mana, who's been on here a couple times, has been working on a wallet adapter. He has plans to commit it to the Aptos repo at some point, but I haven't synced it up.
Do you think it would make sense for people who are integrating with wallets as one-offs to potentially move to this shared wallet library?
Seems like you're going toward an answer.
I'm just asking questions, Ken.
No, yeah, it'd be great. I think it'd be great if, especially now that we have a few wallets that are more stable, it'd be great if you're on the ecosystem to kind of use the shared wallet adapter.
I have one question I'd like to throw out there. If I'm a mobile developer looking to build a mobile wallet, what is the current status of, building the apps and integrating with mobile wallets? Do we have a vision, a position, or anything on that?
Again, I know you have an answer here. Yeah, so I think there are a few people starting to build mobile wallets as well as Blockdo's mobile, right? And so they'll have opinions here on how they do it. I think Block is mostly focused on custody on the DApp side, but maybe I'm wrong there. He's still here, so he can correct me. But yeah, I think it'll be similar to how other ecosystems do this. You will probably set up Wallet Connect. Wallet Connect supports this kind of system where you can have a web DApp, kind of have a socket that goes directly to your mobile app. And if you need to do something custom, there might be some custom operations you need to do that are supported by Wallet Connect, that you might need to spin up your own thing, so similar to how Coinbase Wallet does it.
Awesome. And if someone wanted to talk about the wallet or contribute, potentially discuss the standards for any of these SDKs, where might they go?
Okay. Yeah, so there's a forum that has been built, and there's already a few links of kind of standards being talked about the wallet apps. I know Block has also contributed to some discussions there as well. But feel free to ask there. You can feel free to have a GitHub issue. We also have a Discord channel called Wallet Dev. Feel free to ask questions there if you have any questions about standards or best practices for wallet integration.
Thank you. I didn't know we had a forum. Amazing. We should all probably check it out. Thanks.
Any other questions you guys want to ask me that you have interest in?
Give me a second, I'll find it. If anyone's curious, questions about the white paper, there is a white paper now. It exists. You can find it on our GitHub. There's Medium articles, and we've tweeted about it. So there's a bunch of places to go and find it, but the actual PDF is hosted on GitHub, Aptos Labs /white paper, I believe. And also, if you're looking to translate it, there are all of the raw pieces of that article in LaTeX format. So please feel free to translate it. If that's something you really want to do, open a pull request. We would love to see additional languages represented for this white paper. Let's see. The comment about Jim Carrey made me laugh out loud, so thank you for that. Tokenomics are coming soon. We've been saying soon for a while, and I promise it's getting sooner and sooner every time we say it. But yeah,
Soon we won't have to say soon. We'll say here it is.
there you go.
What that will be soon.
It will be soon.
But they will come soon.
Let's see. Yeah, that was a good one. Let's see. Recently, we mentioned a move package manager. Are there any documentation? Is there a link? And can we talk a little bit more about what that means? I think also a question for Wolfgang.
Yeah, so unfortunately, there's still no documentation, but I think it will be added during this week. But like was mentioned on the chat or so, is that you can just also call help. It's not that complicated. No? So if you do Aptos move help, then you see a couple of new commands which are related to the package manager, which is the old one published, which you already know, but then there is another one list which shows you which packages are at a given address, and a further one download, which allows you to download data about a package. And then there is another clean command. So this 4 commands now basically make up the so-called package manager. Yeah.
Awesome. I think it's super exciting, and I think that it makes a lot of sense, especially when you're deploying to the chain, to be able to not just deploy individual modules, specifically from the perspective of being able to upgrade modules, but moving them together as packages the same way that if someone in NPM or Cargo updates a single piece of the whole, you don't just download the one change, you actually have to get the latest release, which has all of the pieces together in one cohesive whole. So that's a change that I'm excited about, and indexing those changes is coming soon to the new indexer. Let's see, are there any Aptos hacker houses planned in the future? We haven't had a hackathon in some time due to our focus on AIT3 and then trying to get to Mainnet, but we really enjoyed the first one. It was super helpful, and feedback from the community was they enjoyed the first one as well. So I do know that there is some chatter internally about having more of those in the near future soon, but I definitely can't promise that we're going to have any, especially on a global scale, before mainnet launch? I think most of us are fairly focused.
Most of us are sleepless, tired, but super happy to be here to make this happen. So as soon as mainnet launch is clear, look forward to us being amongst everybody else and having a lot of fun making great things on Aptos.
All the fun stuff after midnight.
Yes.
More sleep.
More sleepless, yes.
Midnight first.
Sleepless mainnet. We call it sleepnet. One of the sleep all over. One of the questions is, why is the source address needed along with seeds to create the resource account?
Can you repeat the question?
And the question is, when you create a resource account, you need a seed and the account that is creating the account.
So an account needs to create, so creating an account costs money or gas. And so in order to pay gas, you have to have gas. And then why the seed instead of being able to return the address with just the seed?
Maybe you were talking about that the address not necessarily tied to the keys.
No, this is specifically account creation, although I'll ask you about that in a minute.
It's about resource account creation. So resource account creation, it's dependent. What it does is take your seed and your account, and it, I believe, hashes it together. So then everything that you do on this resource account is controlled by your authentication key. So it's like a child account, as far as I understand.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the code to remind myself exactly why we do what we do. It's a good question. I'm not sure why we did it that way, but we did, and well, not too hungry to go and change it at this point in time. If it's a blocker, please let us know, we can discuss it, but I think the key thing here is we don't want to just have folks arbitrarily creating accounts, so put a pretty high bar on making sure that you're sincerely making the accounts. And then also, if you just look at the actual resource account module, not to be confused with the resource account entity, in there, we're actually provide helpers to move around the resource account capabilities. And so in that case, you actually do need to have a signer to, store and retrieve those resources. Otherwise, they would be done insecurely. So the fact that the create resource account requires signer is just, because we're cool like that.
Yeah. And one of the other questions similarly is, can we have a function that, given the source account and the seeds, will return the address of the new resource account?
So I think on this one, I think somebody asked me this on Discord as well. In general, when I think about a helper function like that, there's a couple of issues that come to mind. The first one is you should probably be computing these offline to make sure that you know which address you're actually talking to. Using an on-chain function is kind of a bit dynamic, and you could mess up and you could end up moving data to an account that might not be the one you're targeting. The other one is it's not particularly efficient. So you're going to basically be paying a gas fee every single time to use this, where you could have just done it offline and paid no gas fee. So in general, when adding helper functions, I think they're great to add if they actually provide clear utility and don't add any or negligible cost, or ideally actually reduce the cost. But if it's just adding in cost, then it probably won't be used, and therefore it just adds a blow to the libraries. But I'm happy for follow-up conversation on that.
Are there any plans to cover the standard library and framework with formal verification in the near term? Okay.
What's the question? Sorry, I didn't fully understood because I'm also trying to answer here on the chats whether there's any news about verification of the framework, or what was the question about?
Near term, are there any plans to cover the standard library and the framework with formal verification?
Oh yeah, so absolutely. I mean, we are having the MoveProver, which is a leading tool in formal verification, and we plan to apply it to the entire framework used in Aptos. It just takes a little bit of time. So like we're just starting to ramp up on this kind of work, and over time, I think we will add first specifications and verification for more important core parts regarding the operation of the chain itself, like staking and other kind of things, and eventually we want to have everything specified and verified.
Cool. And also another follow-up question for you. Will there be a way to verify a move module on chain? The specific use case is creating a permissionless protocol where users can deploy resources and coins and then register them with the protocol, but the protocol has to check that the coins are legit by verifying inputs and outputs, that they're not being malicious. Question for you. Yeah.
I'm not sure whether that is the question for formal verification. I think it's more like for so maybe for blockchain crypto verification, or so. Otherwise, I think I didn't got the full example. Maybe it's too complicated of an example to discuss here.
I think it's like a static analysis type of situation where you could imagine validating that coins go to and from the explicit accounts versus siphoning through this third, like a hidden account that's somewhere embedded within there. And I think it's a fantastic idea about how we might be able to come up with a language. I mean, that's
okay. So like, yeah, so there's actually even something more direct. So we can formally verify that there is no money getting in or out of the chain, a part of burning and minting. So basically that no coin can be dropped somewhere or hidden somewhere. That is the sum of all the things. We can also verify that it kind of flows from here to there, but it really depends on the detail. You have to look at the detail. Specification and formal verification is not for free. It's actually quite laborsome detail work in order to do this kind of thing. And so you have to look at every single case to see whether that works for this case.
Sweet. Thank you, Wolfgang. Well, the question is, when did development start? Many moons ago, 3-ish years, I think, or even four years at this point, within Meta as a project that evolved and changed its name multiple times, but unfortunately was unable to launch. And so many of us, many people here have been with Diem and then before that Libra from the very beginning, and came over from Meta to continue the work and to move it from a permission blockchain to a completely decentralized blockchain, one that we hope will serve the next billion users in crypto.
And along the way, we brought in many other people outside of MetaMates. And so just to be clear, we have no relationship to Meta. We are completely separated, and we are very excited about people that are not just MetaMates joining us and working with us.
Yes.
Across the globe, even we have people, in Israel and Europe and other places. So we are a very geographically distributed team.
And even Switzerland.
Even, thank God.
Yes. So no matter where you are, please apply. Aptos.com/careers. Thank you for the tee up, David. So this is a question about when we compile a move package, are its dependencies statically or dynamically linked? It's confusing to me why we need both the address of the module where it's located on chain, as well as a copy of the package source code locally to build against the dependency. Then, okay.
Do you want to take it, Wolfgang, or do you want me to take it? Okay.
Can you take it, please?
Can you repeat the question?
Why
are the addresses required despite the fact, let me see.
Yeah, so locally, you need a copy of the code locally to compile, but when you're running on chain, you need the actual address to deploy to.
So, okay,
I thought this already answered on Twitch. So that's a question about whether you dynamically or statically link. Huh?
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
So I answered that on Twitch. So it's dynamic, and then there was a follow-up question. So why do I still need the source then? And this is simply the way how the compiler is built today. So the compiler can only work also for dependencies on sources. That's also, by the way, to do with formal verification and additional things which are in the source language, like the specifications, which are not in the bytecode. So that's why you need the sources. But basically, you compile against sources of bytecode, which is deployed on chain. And when you later execute your contract, then you will execute against that code on chain. And the code which is already on chain, you don't need to deploy, you don't pay the gas for deploying it, you're just reusing that code. Hopefully that answers it.
Cool. Just to be clear, if you're curious about ways to, what if you don't have the source, or what if you're trying to close source, you can always release interfaces and not necessarily the original source code, because it simply needs to understand the ABI.
Cool. So one of the questions is about coin freeze. Why does it exist? And what are our plans for using it?
I mean, many entities out there prefer to be able to control the movement of their coins, particularly centralized entities that want to deploy certain coins on various blockchains. And so we want to enable those entities to come to Aptos and build on top of Aptos. And therefore we give them features that they look for. Or require in this case.
Fair enough. So it's a security and control mechanism basically for people who are building on Aptos.
Just to be clear, the Aptos coin will not enable freezing. We will never freeze your assets here at Aptos. And I suspect most other coins will not embrace the freezing of assets. However, when there are certain regulatory requirements associated with said coins, you may expect that those entities may have a requirement to do so.
Okay. And on a similar thread of decentralization is a question about mainnet. Will validators be fully permissionless? Is there any way for Aptos to control them or limit them? No. The network is fully decentralized, so there is no way really for us to control what you do, to tell you not to run a validator. Of course, other validators can decide to do whatever they want. So I don't, blocking validators running in North Korea, for example, people will decide to do so, but we have no control over it. And there are plenty of people who will decide not to do so.
So just to emphasize there, we definitely come from Libra, the M era, where there wasn't excessive emphasis on centralization and permission. The majority of the work, well, not the majority, but a substantial amount of the work that we've done over the past 8 or so months since we began this organization has been to strip away all those pieces of centralization. And if you look through the massive amounts of commits that have happened in that period of time, you will see layer after layer of permissionless being added and permission being removed. Sherry alluded to the right set transaction that was removed. That was explicitly something that was there for this centralization. So we were removing all those bits. We really want to enable folks to enjoy a permissionless environment. The thing that we're particularly really excited about with permissionless and decentralization is our governance format. And so governments will be completely on chain, no private bodies, no small groups of people gathering together. It will be driven by those that have stake in the blockchain. And we're really excited to see that come together in AIT3.
To add on the note is we are a proof of stake chain. So you can imagine like all the decentralization is also driven by our stakes to getting into decentralization, where it takes a little bit of time to get the liquidity like spread out and then get people to get hold of the stakes and being able to stake on the validator nodes. It's not going to be like starting from day one and everybody will be able to stake a node, but gradually we will get there. It's the important thing is that we have the mechanism to support like all those permissionless functionalities and architectures and support our next to become more decentralized as it evolve and grow in the future. But yeah, keep in mind that we're still a proof of stake chains, and then the whole like powers or governance operations still very much coupled with who holds the stakes and who stakes on the nodes.
Awesome, yeah, and that's perfect. We are at time, 11 a.m. Thank you all for your questions. Sorry we weren't able to get to everyone, but please submit our question type form and see us again next Monday, same time, same place here in balmy Palo Alto.